What if a cat could help interrupt the stress pattern, raising your blood pressure before you even notice it? What if your blood pressure is changing at home while you still believe everything is perfectly fine? Many people see one strange reading, feel okay, and quietly decide it must not really matter. You can look healthy on the outside while your blood vessels are telling a very different story. The danger with high blood pressure is not drama first. Often, the drama comes after silence. Blood pressure is not a fixed identity. It is a moving signal shaped by your nervous system. Your body naturally surges in the morning, and that surge can become a problem when stress stays high.
Once you measure at home, you stop guessing and start seeing what your body is actually doing.
Sometimes the fastest route to a calmer reading begins with slowing the body before the cuff even inflates. You can feel completely normal while blood pressure quietly rehearses a future emergency behind the scenes. The top number is pressure during the squeeze, and the bottom number is pressure during recovery. Cats often respond to your tension, and that makes them surprisingly useful mirrors of your internal state. A cat's quiet presence may be influencing your arteries before you ever call it relaxation.
Let's begin with the first evidence-based pathways. Cats may help lower blood pressure naturally over time.
First, purring may support relaxation by nudging the body away from threat mode and toward recovery.
The purr is not magic, but repeated calming sensory input can help reduce the stress load behind higher readings. When the body softens after stress, blood pressure may begin moving in a safer direction. That vibration on your lap may be acting like a brake pedal on the stress chemistry, driving pressure upward. The difference is not only emotional comfort. The real story is what your nervous system does next. Pet connection may help quiet sympathetic overdrive, and that matters because pressure often rises when that system dominates. Even a brief calming ritual before measuring can reveal how sensitive blood pressure is to your internal state. The body believes what it feels repeatedly, and repeated calm can slowly reshape pressure patterns.
Second, gentle petting may help lower pressure by changing hormones linked to stress and social safety.
Supportive touch can make the body feel safer, and safer biology often produces calmer cardiovascular responses.
Touch changes rhythm, and rhythm matters because blood pressure is deeply influenced by how the body regulates stress.
Sometimes the smallest interruption to spiraling stress prevents the biggest spike you never planned to have.
Consistent, gentle contact tends to calm the system better than chaotic stimulation that keeps the body alert.
When the interaction feels easy and welcomed, the brain reads safety faster than when connection feels forced.
Tracking reveals something powerful. Emotional moments and blood pressure shifts often travel together more than people realize. Comfort becomes more convincing when the numbers begin reflecting what your body is already starting to feel. Third, cats can influence routine, and routine may reduce the chaotic morning surge that pressures vulnerable blood vessels.
A gentler start gives the cardiovascular system time to adjust instead of slamming from rest straight into stress. Cats often anchor a morning sequence, and stable sequences can reduce rushed decisions that amplify blood pressure.
Order matters because a regulated morning can lower the chance that your first reading is driven by pure nervous system chaos.
The morning surge is real, and the way your cat shapes those first minutes may matter more than you think.
Predictable behavior tells the brain the world is manageable, and manageable mornings often produce steadier pressure.
Blood pressure responds to patterns, so changing the pattern may be more powerful than trying to overpower the body.
Fourth, cats can create movement, and movement remains one of the most reliable natural tools for lowering blood pressure.
These tiny bursts of walking may look small, but small repeated movement can still change blood pressure physiology.
The goal is not athletic perfection. The goal is interrupting stillness often enough to help vessels stay responsive.
Play can lower threat perception, and a body that feels less threatened often carries less pressure.
For many older adults, cat care creates manageable movement that feels natural instead of forced or intimidating.
It is not always one workout that changes pressure. Sometimes, it is the 100 little movements you finally stop skipping.
Micro-movement matters because blood pressure improves when the body stops spending entire days in one position.
When movement becomes built into ordinary life, healthier pressure patterns are easier to repeat and sustain. Fifth, A cat may become an early warning system for stress before you consciously recognize what your body is doing. Animals often notice tension cues quickly, and that reaction can prompt you to pause before the pressure climbs further.
Once you connect behavior, emotion, and readings, your cat's response can become useful feedback instead of a random moment.
And we are only getting started, because the next ways involve sleep, loneliness, inflammation. What if the reason tomorrow's reading is high actually began with how your nervous system slept tonight?
Sixth, cats may help blood pressure indirectly by supporting calmer bedtime transitions and more regular sleep.
Better sleep supports better pressure because nighttime is when the cardiovascular system is supposed to recover, not stay on alert. When sleep is broken, stress chemistry lingers, and that lingering tension can show up in the numbers you see the next morning. A peaceful bedtime is not a luxury if your blood vessels are already struggling with the cost of chronic stress. Cats can become part of a repeatable shutdown ritual, and rituals help the body stop scanning for threat.
Even your breathing can slow around a calm animal, and slower breathing often reduces the pressure load on the system.
The evidence you trust most may be your own pattern. Sleep quality and blood pressure often move together more than people expect. When the night goes better, the morning often begins with less cardiovascular turbulence and more control. Sometimes tomorrow's lower blood pressure starts with tonight his quietest biological decision, how deeply your body feels safe enough to sleep.
Seventh, cats may help by reducing loneliness, and loneliness is more physical than most people realize.
Social isolation can keep the body guarded, and companionship may lower that constant guarded state just enough to matter.
Companionship changes behavior, and behavior changes biology, especially when stress and blood pressure feed each other every day.
Eighth, cats may help reduce anticipatory anxiety, the tension that rises before you even start measuring. Sometimes the body is not reacting to salt first or age first, but to the quiet burden of feeling alone too often.
A reliable welcome can interrupt the stress carryover that follows people home and keeps pressure elevated into the night.
Connection often changes hormones, and hormonal shifts are one reason emotional experiences can become blood pressure experiences.
Meaningful responsibility can protect health because purpose stabilizes habits that the cardiovascular system depends on.
Companionship does not erase stress, but it may change how much of that stress gets translated into pressure. The most dangerous pressure in some lives may begin as emotional load long before it ever becomes a cuff reading.
Some people spike simply because the moment feels threatening, and calming that moment can change the reading that follows.
The body reacts to expectation, and expecting stress can become one more reason pressure stays artificially high. If a cat helps your body settle before measurement, that gives you data that is more honest and more useful. Consistency is powerful because patterns, not panic readings, tell the real story of cardiovascular strain. When threat perception drops, blood vessels often become less reactive, and that can be seen in your numbers. A reading is never just a number. It is a snapshot of everything your body believed in that moment. A playful interruption matters because stress often stays high when the mind loops and the body follows. Attention redirection can reduce stress chemistry, and less stress chemistry often means less vascular tightening over time. Positive emotion also changes behavior, making healthier choices feel easier when the nervous system is no longer bracing.
Your blood vessels do not only react to danger, they also react when the brain finally stops rehearsing it.
What matters is not the joke itself, but the body shift from constriction toward recovery and regulation.
The body often needs a reason to drop its guard, and a cat can become that reason in the smallest, most repeatable ways.
When joy repeats, the benefits become less random and more like a behavioral medicine hidden in ordinary life. Sometimes a lower pressure moment begins not with discipline, but with one perfectly timed interruption to stress. 10th, cats may help by keeping people home more often, and home routines can protect blood pressure better than convenience habits.
Meals prepared at home are easier to control, and sodium control remains one of the clearest paths to healthier pressure.
A cat can quietly influence the environment around your choices, and environment often shapes blood pressure more than motivation alone.
When fewer meals come from packages and restaurants, the body gets fewer surprise sodium loads that push pressure upward later.
The thing elevating your blood pressure may not be obvious stress at all. but the routine your lifestyle quietly keeps feeding.
Staying home more can support the very foods and drinks that naturally help blood vessels relax and recover.
Structure beats willpower when protecting blood pressure, and cats often create structure simply by needing care at consistent times.
So yes, science suggests cats may help blood pressure through stress, behavior, and routine. But now the story gets even more surprising.
These next 5 ideas are newer, less obvious, and psychologically fascinating because they work through hidden daily patterns. What if your cat is accidentally saving you from the first stress trigger that sabotages blood pressure every morning?
New Way 1. Cats may reduce blood pressure by interrupting screen-driven stress before it hijacks the morning surge.
News, messages, and alerts can prime the body for alarm, and a cat can break that chain before it fully starts.
The interruption matters because your nervous system cannot stay calm if every morning begins with digital threat scanning.
The first battle for blood pressure may not happen in your arteries alone, but in what captures your attention first.
New Way 2. Cats may help by cueing hydration earlier, and early hydration can soften stress on the cardiovascular system.
Feeding a cat often reminds people to pour water for themselves, and that tiny cue can matter more than it looks.
Hydration does not cure high blood pressure, but it reduces one more source of morning strain that makes readings harder to control.
The body handles pressure better when basic needs are met early, instead of after stress has already taken over.
Sometimes the difference between a calmer morning and a higher reading begins with what happens before the first sip of caffeine.
New Way 3. Cat care can create grounding micro-rituals that slow the body before stress compounds into higher pressure.
Grounding works because the brain relaxes when actions feel ordered, predictable, and complete, instead of rushed and fragmented.
Completing one simple responsibility can reduce mental noise, and less mental noise often means less physiological spillover into blood pressure.
The mind often raises pressure through overload, and sometimes one small caregiving ritual is enough to stop that spiral.
New Way 4. Cats may improve blood pressure by anchoring adherence, the everyday consistency most treatment plans quietly depend on.
When a routine is tied to something living and non-negotiable, people are more likely to follow through without relying on memory alone.
Blood pressure control often fails from inconsistency, not ignorance, and a cat can become an unexpected behavioral anchor against that.
The danger is rarely one missed day alone. It is the quiet pattern of inconsistency that slowly keeps blood pressure uncontrolled. New Way 5. Cats may teach attention recovery, helping the human brain switch from hypervigilance into calmer observation. The nervous system settles when attention stops darting everywhere, and a cat's stillness can model that reset surprisingly well. A delayed reaction can prevent an immediate surge, and those tiny moments of restraint may protect blood vessels more than they seem. Observation is powerful because it moves the body away from readiness to fight and back toward recovery and control. A calmer blood pressure may begin the moment your attention stops obeying every threat your environment offers. Now the pattern is clear. A cat may influence blood pressure not through one miracle, but through many small biological doors. That matters because blood pressure is not only about the heart. It reflects how your whole life is being regulated. The transformation begins when random, comforting moments become deliberate patterns you can repeat and measure. Control does not mean perfection. It means building a day that stops pushing your cardiovascular system in the wrong direction.
The most powerful shift happens when a frightening number becomes useful feedback instead of something you avoid until it is too late.
Health changes when fear becomes curiosity, because curiosity makes people measure, notice patterns, and actually respond. No single habit has to do everything if enough small habits stop adding pressure in the wrong direction.
The goal is not to worship the monitor, but to finally see what your body has been trying to say in real life.
When calm becomes trainable, blood pressure becomes more changeable, and that is where hope becomes measurable.